welcome back to the Run Like a T-Rex YouTube channel. Doing something a little bit different today. So I'm basically going to go through what I learned this time next year. So I ran the Manchester Marathon, you can see that, in 2025. It's currently my first and only marathon. And basically what I'm going to do is take you through some success. So this is aimed at the first time marathoners. So if you've done it before, by all means, watch anyway. You might pick up things and think, yeah, I didn't think of that, or something I need to focus on. But yeah, it's aimed for people who are just trying to get through get it ticked off through a bucket list. Maybe you're raising money for charity. You're not, quote unquote, a typical runner in terms of it's not something like you're not part of a running club. You've not historically joined. You've been inspired watching the marathon last year or whatever it might be. You just thought, you know what, you're hitting a milestone birthday and you're trying to give yourself a bit of a challenge for 2026 or whatever that might look like. So yeah, if this is you're gearing up for your first time marathon in the spring of 2026, we've got Newport, Brighton, Manchester, London, that are all sort of between 8 and 10 weeks away. And they're just the ones in the UK. There's obviously bigger ones like Tokyo and Boston and stuff like that coming up. So yeah, I'm going to go through what you can be doing now during your training block. There's still time. I'm sure people will be thinking that's getting a little bit close. We made it through 317 weeks of January, and then 4 weeks of February is going like that. So yeah, it is racing on. What you can do the morning of the race, so things that you can sort of make your race day experience go a little bit more smoothly, and then things you can do during the race. So they're the key things that we're going to go through, and then there'll be a little screenshot at the end that will show you basically sort of now morning of race day. So by all means, take a picture of it or whatever. I'll stick it up on Instagram as well for anybody that wants to sort of make note of it, or if you want to save it as a post or repost it, whatever you want to do with it, screenshot it. So yeah, we'll go from there. Right, item number one, strength and conditioning. Easily overlooked, mega important. 26.2 miles, 42.2 kilometers, whether you're imperial, metric, it's a bloody long way. So you need to prepare your body accordingly. It's very, very easy to get caught up in the stamina aspect of it, in terms of your cardiovascular, building your aerobic base, making sure you know all those sorts of bits and pieces. But you're kind of forgetting that it's going to be your legs that carry you there, and obviously, you know, your heart in every sense of the word, from the way it's pumping your blood and just that bit of resilience, because you're going to come across hard bits. But strength and conditioning, two aspects. So one, core. Working on your core stability, planks, side planks, Copenhagen planks. If you can pick those up, they are brutal, but they will make your leg. They will really make everything strong. If you think about it, your core is kind of your foundation. It's going to impact stuff like your posture. All your breathing is through your diaphragm. So if you've got a nice strong core, everything's nice and stable, you're going to be in a position to be able to breathe properly and all those sorts of bits and pieces. But essentially, if you imagine like a chain, it's only as strong as its weakest link. So your core will be your sort of weakest link, essentially. So your legs can only work properly if they've got a solid core above them, telling them what to do and like keeping them stable and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would emphasize that in terms of don't get caught up in sit-ups too much. I would focus on the planks. So focusing on core stability rather than trying to get a six-pack, I think, is probably the best way to explain it. So if you think of stability as, I think the rough translation is resistance of movement in the presence of potential change, which is basically your body could be moving, but it's not because you're resisting it, very simply. So if you can focus on, planks, side planks, the ab rollers that you used to see on QVC and all that kind of stuff, brilliant. The reason I try and do that is you don't want to be doing stuff that's going to, it's really easy to get caught up in like crunches. Like if you don't do those, probably you can strain your neck. Or stuff like sit-ups, if you're pinning your feet down, they can quickly become a hip flexor exercise, not a core exercise. So I'm trying to focus on that. So so two aspects. First, core. Second, I would really advocate, and it's one thing I'm trying to focus on at the minute, is I'm half marathon trainer myself, and I'm trying to do more S&C. Is your legs are going to work as a single leg element. So yes, squats, leg press and all that kind of stuff, but your legs are going to work independently of each other. And if you have a slight imbalance, if you're pushing with both legs at the same time, you can be working one more than the other because it's your strong one, and all that's doing is it's working harder and harder and harder. You're going to create a bigger and bigger disparity between the strength of the two. So if you can focus on lunges, single leg RDLs or good mornings, however you want to describe them, lateral lunges, so you sort of Cossack squats, things like that, Bulgarian split squats, brilliant. Hard work, but will really, really bulletproof your leg. And then same with stuff like calf raises, trying to work those individually as well. And yeah, the stronger your legs will be individually. And hip flexors. So if you can get some ankle weights, whatever it might be, literally just standing there and doing like knee raises and bringing your knees up to all the way up will really help. My hip flexors used to fall apart at about 16, 17 miles all the way through my training block. And it's one thing I really wish that I'd basically taken care of. And I thought it was a mobility issue in terms of I've just got tight hip flexors because I always have done. I think realistically it's a weakness issue. I think they just weren't strong enough, and they were basically getting to the point like I've had enough. I can't do enough. I can't do anymore. So yeah, strength and conditioning. So single leg strength work and core stability. Right, item number 2, recovery. This is going to be hugely, hugely important. So you're going to get to the point like in your peak weeks later on in your training. I was running, just the running aspect was sort of between 6 and 7 hours a week, and that was only me running 4 times a week. Some of you may be doing even more. So letting your muscles recover. So recovery will be basically preparing yourself to be able to attack the next session, whatever that might be, and just exist without being too uncomfortable, tired, achy, all the rest of it. So hydration, massively important. Like try and get enough, make sure you're drinking plenty. I've become a big advocate of using the hydration sachets. So the sort of high five electrolyte tabs that you can drop in a glass of water, or I use Humantra as well, a powdered sachet. Get yourself rehydrated, like get yourself restocked up on your electrolytes and stuff like that. So it's not just about taking water on. Food. So if you can, I get very, very hot because I'm a bit of a hot bod, but making sure you eat. So get on some protein and some carbohydrates within an hour of finishing your run, ideally. Make sure you're restocking yourself. Sleep. I know it's easy to say. I don't know people's personal circumstances from your working routine, your life dynamic in terms of do you work shifts? If you've got a young family, like if you've got very, very young children who still don't sleep particularly well, or you just don't sleep particularly well yourself, I know that's going to be hard. But even if you're lying in bed properly like trying to go to sleep, even if you're not, try not. It's easy to get frustrated with yourself. I'm awful for it. I'm a bit of an insomniac at times, particularly if things are playing on my mind, i.e., oh crap, I've got to run a marathon in a couple of months. So yeah, just that, letting your body recover and chill out. That's going to be really, really important to make sure your body is relaxing and it's rebuilding itself, and it's helping your brain sort of recover as well, and getting that sort of releasing that mental load from yourself as well. So, but that's not the only aspect of recovery. You've also got the mobility side and making sure your muscles are in a position to allow your skeleton and your body to work and operate the way it should do. So if you can try and get yourself in with a sports therapist and get a sports massage, you're making this investment in yourself. Like, I know things can be expensive, but if you can spend an extra 40, 50 quid to treat yourself to a sports therapy massage once a month or whatever it might be. If you can do more, great. Please bear in mind, if you do a sports massage, you probably want to leave it at least 24, 36 hours before you then go for a run, because it can be quite a lot for your muscles to do. Like, you can sometimes need a recover from that, just because it's getting the toxins out and your muscles can be quite achy. The other thing is the proper stretching and all those sorts of bits and pieces. I'm awful at stretching, despite the fact just about every injury I've ever had has been through a poor mobility restriction because I'm not stretched enough. So things like massage ball. You can pick up one of these on like a mobility kit or something like that. They're typically like a lacrosse ball. They're brilliant. Like if you've, I spend too much time on my phone or a laptop and stuff like that. So between my shoulder blades, it gets quite achy. Pin that up against the wall and you can sort of roll that against your back. roll it under the ball of your feet, you will release an unbelievable amount of tension from your lower sort of knees down through your calves and the arches of your feet by just rolling your feet. And it's dead easy. You can sit on the sofa, watching telly, and just roll your feet underneath it. Your hands as well, roll it on your desk. If you spend all day clicking a mouse and stuff, your hand can be sort of like that all day, like an angry spider. So just releasing that, and your forearms will be brilliant. Um, so yeah, dirt cheap. The other one, massage gun. There's loads and loads of different brands of these. You've got the proper Thoroguns, you've got the Bob and Brad variants. I got this for about 15-20 quid from Home Bargains, I think. Comes with loads of different settings. You can have it for different parts of your body, like your spine and all those sorts of bits and pieces. It's got like a slightly bigger ball. It's bit like a, almost looks like that on the end of it. And then it's got some like really thin, like a finger, so you can really get into like the smaller areas if you're trying to be a bit more concentrated on it. Um, yeah, brilliant. If you can, like, I've had a couple of them in the past. My old one broke and was rattling, so you couldn't sit there watching telly at night with that. But I can really recommend those. Dead easy, yeah, rechargeable. So if you can pick up one of those, I could really, really recommend it. So, yeah, basically, you're going to put your body through a lot, particularly if you're a first-time marathoner. You've never run this far before. You're going to expect your body to do a lot more than it's probably ever done before. So give your body the respect it needs. Make sure it's in a position to see you through, because ultimately you won't make the start line if your body's not in a position to. So and you're more likely to feel prepared on the day, and you think, yeah, I've nailed as many sessions as I possibly can. Um, so yeah, recovery mega important. Right, so this next part is kind of a bit of a two-parter, really. So it's all around fueling. So that's in two parts. It's fueling before the race and then fueling sort of during the race. So one is the sooner you can practice carb loading for your longer runs. So once you get beyond sort of probably beyond 2 hours. So probably for most of us, it's probably sort of once you get beyond that sort of 21, the sort of half marathon sort of thing, you're probably going to need to really, really start thinking about carb loading. I didn't do it at all, apart from thinking I've got a long run. I'm just going to have pizza the night before when I was in my training. Um, and then got to the marathon weekend and started having a flat in terms of I need to get as many carbs in as physically possible, but it wasn't I didn't think about it particularly in terms of what I was doing. It was like, I'm just going to eat every saurine I can get my hands on. I love malt loaf, like that wasn't much of a challenge. But even after like you get into like almost like the Vicar of Dibley in that Christmas special when she's force feeding herself sprouts, it's sort of like that. But without being too graphic, what goes in must come out. I basically got to the point where my body's just like, that is way too much fiber. Like, and yeah, you can probably imagine the results. So like the marathon weekend, like 3 or 4 times a day, I was then having what I would call a right royal clear out. So your body's clearly not benefiting from that. So if you can through your there's carb drinks that you can drink, that might be easy because it's hydrating you as well. So that hopefully might help. Um, but yeah, so trial and error of different meals, different carb sources. So some might agree with you, some might not. Um, some of you might be celiac, and some of you got a gluten intolerance. So making sure that you can um, you can actually eat something the night before. So if you're going to like one of the bigger races like Manchester, London, all those, you might have booked a hotel the night before. So if you're going to book a hotel, you probably need to start booking a place in a restaurant the night before if you're going to go out for eat. So I'd probably stick to one of the larger chains if you can, one of the national chains for meals, if at all possible, because that means you can potentially then go to whatever your local variant of that restaurant is and trial the meal and see how it agrees with you, like how your body deals with it the following day. Yeah, you don't want any nasty surprises. So yeah, the carb loading beforehand, but also finding the fueling method during the race that works for you. So that can be either in the face of you might just be pure sweets and just go, I'm going to go Haribo jelly babies, and I'm basically going to eat like an unsupervised toddler. You could go gels. So I use Kendall Mint Company gels. Worked for me. Flavor consistency, my stomach could handle them. Some like High Five, some like Pure Sport, Sis, all those sorts of bits and pieces. Or you might be going down like I know Brett Elsmore and Andy Maguire. They use the Voom bars, and they're a much higher sort of proportion of carbohydrate for you're getting a lot of bang for your buck fee. So you're not having to physically carry as much because I carried 8 gels during my marathon. It probably wasn't enough. and they were fairly large gels at KMC. So yeah, finding something that works for you, and you might need to blend flavors. You don't want to get your body can't handle. Say, oh, I'm going to have 8 lemon energy gels on the race. It's like that might be just too much for your body to take. So you might have to mix it up, either alternate or bits and pieces. And some do like caffeine variants of the same gel. So you might think second half I need to start getting the caffeine in as well, just helping that extra bit of energy. So yeah, making sure you're fueling beforehand and during the race is on point. So you know if you're going to put, your car's not going to go anywhere without being fueled properly. You're going to be in the same position. So, yeah, set yourself up for success. Right, next one. So this is the final bit I'm going to cover in terms of what you can do now. And this one's really important for the sake of your mental health during your training. So, firstly, if you're doing a 16-20 week block, you've potentially got the best part of 80 sessions planned between now and finishing your getting ready for race day. If you do 79, is that really going to matter? Life happens. You're not a professional athlete. If you miss a session, it's not the end of the world, okay? What I try and advocate, make sure you try and do is make sure you try and do your easy run. Make sure you're trying wherever possible to do the volume you require for either time on feet. So even if it's not the distance you're after, you're trying to get the time in, get your long run in. If there's a choice between a easy run or a speed session, you can only fit 2 in. I'm fully advocate for getting the easy run in. If you're a first time marathoner, as much as like park your ego at the door, I know we all want to do it as quickly as possible and all that kind of stuff, but just get the easy, like go easy on yourself. Marathon training is hard. So pop some headphones in, go out and do an easy run. So of whatever distance it is. And that's the same for if you go, I've done my easy run already. I've got one session to go and it's 10K total of, I don't know, 2K warm up, 6 lots of 1K, 2K cool down. Do 10K easy. Like if it's getting particularly overwhelming, and it can do, if you think, oh, this is really hard, my legs don't feel in it, my head doesn't feel in it, I've got, life, work, kids, whatever it might be, have got on top of you. It's okay to do not do the session that's prescribed on your Ben Parks program, your Cooper plan, your runner plan, whatever program you're following. It doesn't have to be the session as prescribed, okay? Be patient with yourself. If it has to be a slightly different session, but you still get some volume in, something is better than nothing. So even if it's 10K of intervals and you do 5K easy, great. That's an extra 5K of volume you've got in preparing yourself. Because most of the time we're going to try and run an easy pace during the race anyway, because it's such a long way. So make sure you pace it properly. So yeah, easy runs. Get as many banked as you physically can. Because it's going to build up your aerobic base, and it's going to prepare you for trying to set out a proper pace during race day. Right, so that takes us on to things that you should probably start thinking about for the morning of the race. These are things that that are going to set your race day up for success. So, first and foremost is taking food to the start line. So this is not food or fuel or whatever it might be for during the race. This is to get yourself beforehand. I ate at breakfast at probably like 7:30. I need to stop. I need my food to really go down before I start racing, before I start running, just because I get a bit of pre-run anxiety. And that's the same for a 5K easy run after work as it is for a marathon. Like I will never change. I've never quite got over that. So which meant that I was on a 10:30 wave. So 3 hours later, by the time you've burnt off a load of nervous energy, you've been to the toilet a couple of times, you've walked to the start line, you've sort of milled around talking to people. You're going to get to the point where it's like, I'm actually already starting to get ready to eat. So whatever that might be, something that you can take to the start line to wolf down you, whether it's soaring, some jelly babies. I'm a big advocate, and something that I can actually stomach quite close to me running. Marmalade sandwiches. If you can, like, at the risk of sounding like Paddington, brilliant, because they're quite easy to digest. They're easy to make. You can like stick them in your pocket. If you're a bit squashed, it's not going to end the world. So, take food to the start, because you don't want to be starting a potentially 4, 5, 6 hour run hungry. Like you're on a hide into nothing there. So take food to the start. Next one, a little packet of wet wipes. Enough said. like I when I went to the Manchester Marathon, I went to the Portaloos, did what I needed to do, and yeah, uh, 30,000, 40,000 people running, all had the same idea. There was no toilet roll, so and we all know what can happen. Like when you're trying to run, be pretty uncomfortable. Like you're going to chafe enough as it is. Let's take some wet wipes. So I they then came out. There was a woman that was in after me. I said, just as a heads up, there's no toilet roll left, and she's like, oh. So I basically gave her mine, my packet of wet wipes, and just like pay it forward to the next person because it's like the last thing you need is starting off, um, yeah, without being able to properly sanitize yourself after going to the toilet. Finding a some form of electrolyte to have en route. So at Manchester Marathon last year, they had water stations, so water bottles, actual bottles, which was brilliant. They're giving those out every 5K. Um, I took a load of the Humantra sachets, dead easy. They're dead tiny. They're like the little like sachets of sugar that you could get from a local cafe, something like that. So I was able to rip those off, pour them into the water bottle, give them a little shake, and have that hold on to the water. That's really, really important. So you might think, I don't want to carry it or whatever, or I've not had enough. I'd rather have water and not need it than need it and not have it. So, yeah, keeping some form of. I also use the salt sticks, which are like they come in a little vacuum pack, little almost like a vitamin tablet that you can take. But yeah, I think finding the hydration sachets and stuff like that, and making sure you're topping yourself back up, particularly if it's hot, you're going to sweat out a lot of nutrients that your body's then going to need. So try and top those back up wherever you can. So, agreeing your meeting points. So, this is for during the race and for after the race. If you're fortunate enough, you've got friends and family or whoever coming to support you on your race, agree beforehand because it can give you a big boost when you're like, if you're in a bit of a dark spot, you think, oh, whatever mile point, you think, oh, I'm starting to struggle or I'm a bit down, I'm not quite at the pace I'd like to be, or I'm struggling for whatever reason it is. Understanding you've got someone who loves you that's going to come and cheer you on and give you a bit of a morale boost en route, really, really important. At least you're going to know where they are. But also after the race, agree a meeting point. That on the smaller races, like if you've only got 5,000-6,000 runners, they might be able to get to the finish line and physically see you finish. On the bigger races, I think that's going to be a bit of a pipe dream. Manchester last year was nuts. With 30,000 runners, there was an extra 20,000 or so at London, nearly 50,000 runners, I think. Um, which means there's loads and loads of people in a very built-up area, all with mobile phones, all trying to message people. So Find My Phone, Live 360, none of it was working. I couldn't load WhatsApp. So when I was trying to find my wife, I then had they have speakers and stuff and people like that, and I was trying to phone my wife and my dad to find out where they were, and I basically couldn't. I was basically like, "I'll just find you." They said, "Oh, we're by the exit." I have no idea where the exit is. So, yeah, trying to agree a fixed meeting point for after is really important as well. Particularly if you're in a city you've never been to before, so go and recce it. Go and agree where that is. If you're part of a club or if you're part of a Facebook group, people might have done it before and gone, where's a good point for me to meet my family afterwards? I'm in wave X. How busy is it going to be? Whatever it might be. So, yeah, agree meeting points during the race, give you a boost during, and then agree a race point afterwards. Because yeah, it'll be chaotic. It can be very very overwhelming, even if you're not neurodivergent or anything like that. It can be a lot. There's loads and loads of people there. You're going to be hot. You're going to be tired. You're going to be a little bit. You could be a little bit disorientated. So, and you could be in somewhere unfamiliar to you where you've never been before. So yeah, try and agree that beforehand, and agree what you're going to do. Is at least as a plan. And then if you're in a different position, at least you can agree that's later on. Right, really important. Don't do what I did. Wear sunscreen. Ignore the weather reports. Ignore I'll be fine. You're going to be out for potentially an hour before the race, potentially 4, 5, 6 hours, like we said before, during the race, and then however long afterwards. Even if it's a cloudy day, UV will still be hitting you. I got sunstroke because I didn't wear any sunscreen. It was very, very hot out of nowhere with very, very little shade during the race. As you can see in the image there, I was uncomfortable. I was really, really unwell, and it just put an absolute downer on it to the point where I physically hated the last 8 miles. I'd fueled properly. I'd taken hydration. I'd drunk an entire bottle of water every 5k with hydration sachets. I'd gelled properly, but that wasn't enough because I'd let my body get way, way too hot because I hadn't protected myself from the sun. So, yeah, wear sunscreen. Right, now time for the race itself. So, yeah, just a few tips of how to sort of try and attack your race and approach it, and what to do during. That's going to hopefully make it as enjoyable as physically possible. So, um, item number one, I was given this advice. I didn't particularly listen to it. I didn't park my ego. I thought I could hold on a pace and thought, oh, adrenaline will see me through. I know I've not done that during training, but I'll be fine. Um, Go out slower than you think you need to. In an ideal world, your negative split, you'll be the first half will be slower than the second half. But to be able to do that, as Mac Ashworth says with his spend seconds to save minutes later on. So by spending those seconds, you're taking a little bit longer in the first half of the race. It's hopefully going to save you minutes later on down the line, because once pace goes, it goes quickly, and it's you can lose a lot more time than you can possibly gain. So, if you're trying to bob along at say 6 minute Ks, for instance, which would be what 4:15 marathon there or thereabouts, I think. Fantastic time. If you're trying to creep in at 5:55 or whatever, or think, oh, 5:30, 5:41 will get me sub 4 hours. I'll see if I can do that. Like, unless that 5:41 is exceptionally comfortable for you. I know I've got some stroke. But I don't think I'd have maintained it. I went through the first half feeling really comfortable last year at bang on 2 hours, 5:39 pace. I think I was on for per kilometre. Got to about 15 miles, and that just fell off a cliff because everything sort of caught up on me. So yeah, go out way slower than you think you need to. Right, next one. Try and embrace the atmosphere. Some of these events are really, really well supported. They can really egg you on in times of where you really, really need it. There'll be different, some of the marathons have got different bands, whether it's a local community group or whether it's people singing, just people banging the drums, or just people egging you on. Like if you've got your name on your bib, you'll have complete strangers who'll be like, come on, Dave, you can do it. Keep going. Just, try and embrace it. Use it as an additional source of fuel to get yourself egged along, because I know it can be easy to try and pop your headphones in and try and block it out and just try and get in the zone. If that works for you, great. If you get to the point where you think, I just need to, I need to focus on what's around me to try and egg myself along. Use that as a bit of motivation. It's a reason football teams play well at home when they've got people cheering them on. It's exactly the same philosophy. So yeah, try and embrace the atmosphere as much as you can. You want to enjoy the day and soak it all in. Like if you need to stop, take photos. If you see a sign that makes you laugh, take a photo of it. Um, you know, people be giving out hand high fives. There'll be kids on the side of the road. The woman last year that if I wasn't married, I would have married her on the spot. Who gave me an ice lolly. All those sorts of bits and pieces. Use them as a different source of energy. So make sure you're embracing the atmosphere. Right, and then the final one is just be patient with yourself. So you might, in the back of your head, you either told people or whatever, or you've just kept it to yourself. You might have a target finish time in mind. You might have a pace that you think, that's what I want to try and maintain. Just be patient with yourself. If not all races go to plan, and on marathon days, that can be this different. You can get the pace easily wrong in a 5k at parkrun. A marathon will just will eat you up and chew you alive. So just be patient with yourself. If you're not quite at your target pace, literally nobody other than you cares. Okay? The people who love you, the people that are there to cheer you on, and even the people who don't know you that are there cheering you on, they're just going to be proud and think, look at them. Look at that person. They look just like me and they're doing it. That you could be egging on and inspiring somebody else to sign up and do a couch to 5k, or maybe do the marathon themselves next year in their hometown. Just be patient with yourself. It doesn't matter if the goal, particularly in your first one, the goal is to finish it. Okay, so it doesn't matter if it's a 4 hour marathon, a 3 hour marathon, or a 6.5 hour marathon. You've completed a marathon. Okay, you've run further than you've ever run before. You've worked harder than you've ever had to before. Be proud of yourself. Be proud of all the work you've done to that point, and think, yeah, all that time where I went to non-alcoholic beer or nose echo or whatever it might be, where it's like that those times where I wanted to stay up and watch an hour, another episode of that show I was binging, but I wanted to make sure I got enough sleep for my long run the following day. All those sorts of bits and pieces. You made a huge investment with yourself, so be proud of yourself. Be patient with yourself on the race. Focus on that at the end, getting that medal, and that, as you can see, sort of about the finish photo. All the photos you're going to get of the day where you're going to look back and think, I did that. That was me. I went from being a complete non-runner or a runner who runs 5Ks, 10Ks, even half marathons. The jump from half marathon to marathon is massive. I don't think people quite realise it. I thought, for whatever reason in my head, it was sort of a similar jump up from a 10K to a half marathon in terms of what's required. It's night and day. Be proud of yourself. So yeah, take the time, be patient with yourself. Don't beat yourself up on race day. One foot in front of the other. Be proud of yourself. Okay? Oh, final thing. Enjoy it. I didn't. I got properly overwhelmed on the day. I threw my toys out the pram. I wasn't in the headspace. I got to the point where I was about to message on my WhatsApp group to see if my wife could change her tram stop and stop off and meet me before the finish line at sort of the 20 mile point. I had to stop myself because I thought, if I see my wife and kids, I will basically break down and cry, and I won't get it done because I'd gone way too hot. I'd unprepared. I hadn't prepared properly. As I'd said, I wasn't very well. I wasn't in a position to enjoy it, and I really wish I had done. Like, hindsight's 2020, but I look back now and think, I wish I'd made the most of it, because I might never run a marathon again. You just don't know. So make the most of doing it. Yes, it's going to be hard, but try and take in the people who've spent hours cheering on complete strangers to make sure you have the best race possible. The bands who've been there hours, like constantly playing their instruments and all those sorts of bits and pieces to try and give you a bit of a G up and a bit of atmosphere and a bit of music to keep you going. Yeah, try and make the most of it. So enjoy and good luck.